If you have never struggled with alcohol, you probably are wondering, how could somebody drink in the morning? Like, that's psychotic. That is crazy. Well, today I'm going to explain to you how that happens, how you get in that cycle of drinking in the morning, and we're going to be talking about hair of the dog that bit ya. Hair of the dog. You've probably heard of that. It's basically an instant cure for a hangover by drinking more alcohol, and I think that is how people get into this vicious cycle of drinking in the mornings. So, with that said, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to Hold My Drink, a sobriety podcast. This is a no judgment zone. I really freaking like my life without alcohol. You're not alone. I hope you feel seen. Sobriety has changed my life completely. All right, so hair of the dog. The full phrase is hair of the dog that bit ya. And where that comes from is if a rabid dog bites you, you can put some of his hair on the wound, and I guess exposing the wound to the creature that gave it to you helps heal the wound faster. And so that's where it comes from, hair of the dog. With alcohol, you drink all night long and you have this horrible hangover in the morning. You are wounded by the alcohol that you consumed, and then exposing your body to more alcohol, having a drink to fix the hangover, cures that sick feeling that you have from the drinking. Hair of the dog, I think, is what kind of took my drinking from like, okay, she drinks a lot. She has some drinks alone at home in the evenings to wind down. It took me from that to like actually kind of a problem and drinking in the mornings. I'll never forget when I was first introduced to hair of the dog. It was a cider was the drink that I had. A nice crisp apple cider. I used to love ciders. Sugary in the morning, and I would have one of those. They were like 6.9% or something insane. So you have one of those ciders and you're like, whoa, I feel so much better. Basically, I was painfully hungover and I was with an ex-boyfriend of mine. I've had 3 serious boyfriends, whatever. This was the second boyfriend, and he was not great overall. Basically, like we would go get McDonald's in the morning a lot because we would both wake up hungover and we got McDonald's. I haven't had McDonald's, I think, in sobriety. Like I haven't had McDonald's in so long. So it's wild to think that I used to have McDonald's pretty regularly to cure my hangovers. That's another reason I've lost a lot of weight, I think, is because I don't do crap like that. But anyways, we used to always go get McDonald's in the morning. Some hash browns, an orange juice, an egg McMuffin. Okay. I think it was a Sunday. We were planning to just like lounge around and play Wii golf. And we woke up and we're both so hungover. And he's like, I have ciders in the fridge. And I'm like, ciders in the morning? Like starting this early? That's crazy. Like it's 9 a.m. And he said, oh, it'll make you feel so much better. And I'm like, really? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, it's called hair of the dog. And that was that. From that moment on, after I had that crisp morning apple cider filled with so much sugar and alcohol and instantly felt like a human again, I was addicted to that feeling. It was like you could do whatever you want the night before with no punishment. You didn't have to deal with those hangovers. It kind of felt like you were a superhero. Like you just didn't deal with hangovers because you just have a drink in the morning to cure it. And it's really bad because you get in that cycle. It doesn't like teach you not to drink the next day. Like, oh man, I got so hungover, I don't want to drink for a while. You don't really deal with the hangovers because you just continue the drinking. And it's really bad. So when people don't understand how someone could drink in the morning, this is kind of how it happens. You get really drunk. You wake up hungover. You have a drink. And then if it was the weekends, a lot of times I didn't stop drinking. You know, I have that 9 a.m. drink and then you kind of just carry it all the way into the evening and start again the next day. On weekdays, sometimes I would have a couple drinks in the morning just to literally feel human again and then stop drinking until it was socially acceptable at 3 p.m. or something like that. Embarrassing to say. Can't believe I'm admitting that stuff on this podcast, but you know what? That's what it's here for. And I'm past that now, of course. I don't feel any hangovers, and it's really wonderful. Now that is a superhero right there. You attend some big event with all your friends. Everyone's getting sloshed, wasted, hammered. You're still having a good time. You're just not getting slosh, wasted, hammered. And then you wake up the next day and everyone's like, oh my God, I'm suffering. Like, I can hardly make it. Oh my God, I need a drink. People are cracking Coronas at 8 a.m. just to feel alive again. They're getting the McDonald's and you're just sitting there like, what? Like, I've already done a walk on the beach and done some stretching and had my coffee and walked to the cute little coffee shop. Like, that is a superhero right there. You feel amazing every day, no matter what you did the night before. I just got back from a wedding in Mexico of my best friend. It was fantastic. It was the best wedding I've ever been to. And I had so much fun on the wedding night. I did everything, even though I was sober. I danced on the dance floor for like 5 hours. I mean, we danced. And then everyone jumped in the pool in their gowns and their suits and everything. And I jumped in too. Just because you're sober doesn't mean that you can't participate in the fun things and like be crazy and wild too. In fact, being sober, I believe, is kind of its own high. And I feel so happy and so incredible that I want to participate in all those crazy fun things too. So I did all the crazy fun things. I stayed up late. I danced. I partied. I was drinking my waters and Coca-Colas at the wedding. And then the next day, I woke up and I felt incredible. And everybody else was not feeling so great. It was kind of crazy. Like, I almost forget what it's like to wake up and not feel 100%, because I have woken up and felt 100% almost every single day for my 8.5 months of sobriety. And it's amazing to kind of treat your body how it's supposed to be treated. Like, we're not supposed to be putting poison into our body every day and feeling like we're going to throw up every single morning. Like, that's not how we're designed to live. We're designed to live waking up and feeling rejuvenated. You just slept. So you're supposed to feel rejuvenated and like hungry for breakfast and excited for the day. And when you're hungover and gross, I mean, it just, you don't feel your best. And I felt not my best most days, if that makes sense. I felt less than 100 every single day. And now I wake up and I pretty much feel 100 every single day. Wild. The hair of the dog should literally not be a thing. I hate that it works. I hate that it does what it's supposed to do, which is make you feel normal again. I'm like angry at hair of the dog. You know, I'm not angry at alcohol. I always say that alcohol got me through one of the hardest times in my life. So I'm not angry at alcohol, okay? But I'm angry at hair of the dog. I feel like that's what pushed me over the edge and what got me into this kind of bad cycle that I was in. Hair of the dog is horrible. And if you can avoid ever getting into that, please do. When you need alcohol literally just to feel normal, feel like a regular human being, that's really unhealthy. Alcohol, if you drink it in a responsible way, which some people say there's no amount of alcohol that is healthy to consume, but I'm not that extreme. I understand that some people who can drink responsibly, it can be fun. It's kind of a social thing that you do with your friends. Like, that's all great. If you can do it in that way, then good for you. But if you're one of those people who literally needs alcohol to survive, that's a bad place to be. I have been there. A lot of people, I think, who are listening to this podcast have probably been there. And you shouldn't need alcohol to feel normal. You shouldn't need alcohol to calm your anxiety. You shouldn't need alcohol to go to sleep. You shouldn't need alcohol to feel confident. You shouldn't need alcohol to calm your nerves. We as humans are designed to live our life without any substances, without drugs, without alcohol. Like I always say, there are conditions. I'm not talking about people who have very specific conditions. I'm talking about someone who's been blessed to be born healthy. We have the tools in our toolbox to live life unaffected by any outside substances. And so if you find that you're relying on substances just to live life, that's not great. And I hope that, like I've been able to, I hope that you can free yourself of kind of that dependency on alcohol just to live. I want to tell one more story about the wedding that I just went to. It was my best friend's wedding, and so I was assigned to give a toast at the wedding, which was crazy. And it's weird because I have done a lot of public speaking for work before, but in my personal life, I'm usually the last one who would stand up to offer a toast or a speech or make an announcement. Like, I think it's because in my line of work, I usually have to be so out there and outgoing and speak in front of crowds. That's like an alter ego that I have for work. And in my personal life, I like to fly under the radar and kind of be a little bit more quiet. I don't like to draw any unnecessary attention to myself, especially when my work is already drawing attention. You know, when I was modeling a lot, it's like you get a lot of attention. And so I like to minimize the amount of attention in my personal life. Anyway, so the fact that I was doing this toast for the wedding was like crazy. I was so nervous. On the day of the wedding, I couldn't eat anything. And I was like thinking about it nonstop. It's all I could think about. I was so antisocial for a lot of the wedding because I was just thinking about this speech. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, how cool. Like, I'm so used to sobriety now, but this is going to be something that's kind of hard to do sober and something I totally would have drank for beforehand. I never used to think that I slurred my words. I always thought I was fine. Nobody could detect that I was drunk or tipsy or anything. But when I watched videos that I recorded of myself, I was totally slurring my words. I think about something like a toast at a wedding. If I had had a shot or two beforehand and a couple beers, like I'd probably be slurring my words for the speech. And I would think that I'm absolutely crushing it and I'm so confident and I sound amazing. And little do I know, I'm up there like, Olivia's been my best friend since high school. You know what I mean? Like, thank God I was fully sober. I think I crushed the toast. I did amazing. I didn't have alcohol to calm my nerves, so I had to do other things like rehearse what I was going to say, write it all down. I talked about this in my last episode, but something that really helps with anxiety is just writing everything down, or nervousness, not even, anxiety, but just being nervous for something. We all get nervous. Writing stuff down really, really helps. And so for this speech, I was going to make sure that I had it perfect. I had read through it a million times, but if all else failed and I literally had to stand up there and just read it, it was so beautifully written that I could have done that and it would have been just fine. So yeah, it was kind of cool to tick another thing off the list. Like, I have done a lot of things sober. High school reunions, weddings. I went to Mardi Gras sober. Like, I've done a lot of difficult things sober, but giving a speech in front of 100+ people without having a drop of alcohol in my system was something that was going to be really new to me. And it was kind of cool to be like, I did that. I did that sober without any outside substances, when usually I could never imagine doing something like that sober. I mean, that's a lot of people's worst nightmare. Even people who don't problematic drink, they would probably have a drink before a speech just to calm the nerves. And it was really cool because my friend's dad was giving a toast also, and he's also sober. So it was kind of cool. The two of us representing up there, doing this thing that was like, kind of, it's something that we both really, really wanted to do from the inside. I'm not complaining. Like, I was so glad I got to speak at her wedding and speak on behalf of her. And I'm like so honored. But for both of us, we were nervous and we were stressing out about it. And both of us went up there and crushed it sober. So you can do it. Anyone can do it. Sometimes we feel like we can't do certain things in life because we need alcohol to do it, whether that's like going out to a club or singing at karaoke or giving a speech at a wedding. Like, we think that we need alcohol to accomplish those things, but as humans, we can do everything sober. We were designed to do things sober, and so we can do it. And we don't need alcohol to survive. We can survive and thrive, in fact, without alcohol. And that wraps today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to share this episode with somebody who might find it interesting. If you know someone who has used hair of the dog to get through their hangovers, maybe shoot them this episode. And I hope that you're enjoying the podcast so far. This is like my passion project. It's growing and we're starting to get a lot of traction, which I'm really happy to see. But this podcast is my passion. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so grateful that you're here. So thank you so much, and I will see you for the next episode. Bye.